Who will sit the Iron Throne? A Lannister? A Baratheon? A Stark? A Targaryen and a Stark? Well, which one of them is truly the most powerful? While some sides take places by conquest and force, others do by diplomacy, and others by manipulation. Power and influence, along with many other elements in Game of Thrones, are very much multifaceted. But what brings this power? Let's take a look. The characters we love, or love to hate in Game of Thrones, are extremely diverse, and we are shown this even in the first episode. The Starks alone have huge diversity. Arya is shown to be wild and free, while Sansa is refined and cultured, immediately shown through our first shot of them. While Sansa's clothes fit her well, Arya's are baggy and crumpled on her frame. This represents how each fits in their society. While Sansa fits into her society well and can play the lady she is being raised to be, Arya simply doesn't fit the constraints of her society, seeming more comfortable putting on a soldier's hat to watch the approaching royalty. The fact that Arya uses a warrior's clothing to fit in indicates where she feels that she belongs. Both characters, however, despite their differences, become extremely powerful by Season 4. Arya has become a warrior seasoned by survival, shown by this low shot, giving her very physical power over her opponent. On the other hand, Sansa has become a very politically powerful force, teaming up with Littlefinger. Like Arya, she is given low angles to make her powerful. However, instead of exerting physical force, the black dress exudes a kind of shadowy danger, portraying Sansa as a more manipulative, elegant kind of force, just like Littlefinger. The two polar opposite characters both earn power in ways unique to them. I'm giving this example to show how power in Game of Thrones isn't gained by one method alone, and understanding that observation allows us to get to the very core of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is, in essence, a discourse on the meaning and acquisition of power. As we have seen, power can be obtained through multiple paths and sets of ideals, yet it seems it cannot be held without compromising those ideals to some degree. Robb Stark, for example, is bound to his honour in such a way that he loses his men. Listen to the soundtrack as Robb Stark follows his honour.
Kneel, my lord. Rickard Karstark, Lord of Karhold. Here in sight of gods and men I sentence you to die. Would you speak a final word?
Kill me and be cursed. You are no king of mine.
The accompanying soundtrack is dissonant and dark, and belies the consequences to Robb's devotion to honour above all else. In the end, Robb's honour gains him enemies that then betray him at the Red Wedding, and everybody and their dogs knows about this event, so I wouldn't even bother to explain it. Similarly, Tywin Lannister is defined by his ruthlessness and lack of empathy, especially for the family he claims to care for, and is brought down by the hate he has created in his own son. Viserys is defined for his ambition and arrogance, and this makes everyone, including us, hate him. So the rulers in Game of Thrones have to balance. They have to balance between justice and mercy, between religions, between rival houses, etc. And, not to mention, all these things are entirely subjective, with justice in the north almost as different in the south as religion is. So, to summarise, we are as lost to what power really is and how to hold it as we were before. Varys the Eunuch provides us with an interesting answer in Season 2.
Power is a curious thing, my lord. Are you fond of riddles?
Why? Am I about to hear one?
3 great men sit in a room. A king, a priest, and a rich man. Between them stands a common sellsword. Each great man bids the sellsword kill the other 2. Who lives, who dies?
Depends on the sellsword.
Does it? He has neither crown, nor gold, nor favor with the gods.
He has a sword, the power of life and death.
But if it's swordsmen who rule, why do we pretend kings hold all the power? When Ned Stark lost his head, who was truly responsible? Joffrey, the executioner, or something else?
I've decided I don't like riddles.
Power resides where men believe it resides. It's a trick, a shadow on the wall. And a very small man can cast a very large shadow.
A rather postmodern answer for a show set in the medieval period, but true in the show nonetheless. Power is shown to be almost purely about perceptions, whether in the north, south, or east. Let's look at a few scenes. For example, when Joffrey attempts to challenge Tywin.
Your Grace,
Grandfather?
you wanted to speak to me.
Yes. I'd like a report on the meetings of my small council.
You're welcome to attend the meetings of your small council, Your Grace. Any or all of them.
I've been very busy. Many important matters require a king's attention.
Of course.
You've been holding the council meetings in the Tower of the Hand instead of the small council chamber.
I have, yes.
May I ask why?
Well, the Tower of the Hand is where I work. To walk from there to here would take time. Time I could otherwise spend productively.
So if I wanted to attend a council meeting, I would now have to climb all the stairs in the Tower of the Hand?
We could arrange to have you carried.
Tell me about the Targaryen girl.
The use of angles in this scene is extremely powerful. The shift in power is shown purely through the positioning of each of the men, illustrating how the Iron Throne isn't what brings power, it's the person that sits in it. Another interesting scene to do with the Iron Throne comes in Season 3 episode The Climb, as Littlefinger and Varys banter on the meaning of power and chaos.
1,000 blades, taken from the hands of Aegon's fallen enemies, forged in the fiery breath of Balerion the Dread.
There aren't 1,000 blades. There aren't even 200. I've counted.
Huh, I'm sure you have. Ugly old thing.
Yet it has a certain appeal.
The Lysa Arryn of chairs. I did what I did for the good of the realm.
The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agreed to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
But what do we have left once we abandon the lie? Chaos.
The illusion of magnitude the Iron Throne keeps through legend is a metaphor for power itself. An illusion of power must be kept to elevate the person sitting in the chair above those around him. Legends must be created and maintained in order for power to be created and maintained. On the other hand, Stannis Baratheon takes power through religion, conquering in the name of the Lord of Light. The illusion of power is shown symbolically through the literal illusion his holy sword, Lightbringer, creates. In the north, Robb Stark's leadership is questioned by one of his men. When his direwolf tears off the man's fingers, Robb gains the man's respect. While Robb himself did not do anything, his display of power, paradoxically, is what grants him his power in the first place. Daenerys grows hugely throughout the show, first gaining power through sex, as she begins to actively engage in a relationship with Khal Drogo. Later, she gains her power through her dragons. She never leads a battle or kills a man directly, she lets those connected to her do it for her. Alone, she has no power at all. It is her control over her companions that brings her the illusion of power, and thus, real power. Power is a constantly shifting dynamic in Game of Thrones, just as it is in our world today. Power can be backed by physicality, by religion, by our words, or even by those around us. Who will sit the Iron Throne? My guess is the one who knows when to be ruthless and when to be merciful, when to strike and when to hold back. A person that can show a face of love and a face of hate. I reckon it'll be Daenerys, probably with Tyrion helping more than little on the side. Tyrion himself will never sit the Iron Throne, because he can never create a powerful enough illusion due to the prejudice he has had since he was born, being a dwarf, as well as the accusation of regicide and kingslaying. But enough theories. Before I end, I'd like to talk about a few nice details incorporated into the series. There's the cool symbolic moment of the direwolf killed by the stag in episode 1, foreshadowing the Starks being killed by the Baratheons. There are the words of the houses symbolising their collective traits. The Starks have "winter is coming," a blunt statement of forewarning, symbolising the house's priority to survive the winter together, and altogether their unmanipulative nature. The Greyjoys have "we do not sow," showing their pride and their culture of piracy. The Tyrells have "growing strong," a seemingly innocent phrase about the rich fields of Highgarden, but really symbolising their desire to gain influence and power, which they certainly achieve, as Marjorie Tyrell becomes the Queen of Westeros. And that's just to name a few houses. And finally, the playing of the Rains of Castamere at the Wed Wedding, which is the Lannisters', or more specifically Tywin Lannister's, theme. So that's Game of Thrones, the most pirated television show of all time. As always, if you disagree with what I say, leave me a comment, make a video response, because interpretation is always subjective, and there is nothing better to interpret.